The Sabrael Confessions, transcribed by Stephen Smith. The Heavenly War Chronicles, Book 1. Prologue. Lightning electrified the night, searing a phantom silhouette unto the roaring darkness. Racing through the relentless downpour, a lone figure swept wisps of drenched hair from his eyes and glanced up at the raging sky. Another flash, then thunder, which rocked the Vatican City streets. The man ran harder. Despite the late hour and empty streets, he scanned every alcove, every dark recess, and angry lightning streaked the sky again. He recoiled from the darting shape he realized was only his shadow. Scrambling up the steps to his front door, he jammed a key into the rusted lock and rushed inside, slamming the door against the storm. Hand still clutching the knob, he tried to listen over the hammering of his heart. Only muffled thunder rumbled in the otherwise perfect stillness. Relieved, he slipped off his rain-soaked poncho, revealing a thick book clutched tight to his chest beneath, its cover worn with age. He dropped it onto an almost equally worn desk beneath sagging, overloaded bookshelves. Smoothing the white collar at his neck, he switched on a light to inspect his prize. Yellowed pages, thin as the skin on the hands turning them, were covered in ancient scrawl, Aramaic, the language spoken in the time of Christ. Hand-drawn diagrams and symbols filled each margin. Most were beyond the priest. What he could read confirmed what he suspected at the vaults. This was a book of instruction. Rites and rituals lost to antiquity, forgotten or even condemned by the church. The priest had risked all to slip the book past security from the restricted stacks without permission. He whispered the words as he scanned the precious text. 5 pages. Then his fingers stopped. Tracing back, he read that last line again. It cannot be, he whispered in Italian. Reaching to a column of books stacked beside the desk, he retrieved one nearly as old as the stolen volume. Opening to a dog-eared page, he analyzed the text side by side. Mon Dieu! It's still there. Knocking over his chair in his rush back to the bookshelves, he yanked out another volume from his personal collection. Night suddenly turned to day. As lightning struck the street directly outside. The priest blinked away the momentary blindness. As his vision cleared, he sank to his knees. Standing in the scorched street, staring at the house, a figure clad in black seemed oblivious to the storm. Long coat and hair matted in the downpour, His thin lips drew a suicide slit across his pallid face. Where his eyes should be, empty sockets were fixed on the house. The priest dropped the book, hands trembling, and gasped, Adramelech! Impossibly hearing the name over the storm, the figure scowled, flashing gritted teeth. A fiery green glow suddenly filled his empty sockets. Within human speed, he flew forward, bursting through the window and slamming into the kneeling priest. The rain poured harder, the lightning and thunder escalating over the holy sea. Only the first of the priest's agonizing screams escaped through the shattered window. The rest were drowned out by the fury of the storm. Introduction. The wind has been howling for hours. The man on the television says a severe storm is headed for the country, for the county. The oak trees out front sway in the growing gale, each leaf holding onto its respective branch for dear life, desperate to remain connected to its kin. In the distance, black clouds creep nearer, slowly, almost imperceptible. The sky holds a certain fascination for me that way, so like a beautiful painting just out of reach. These moments have become my favorite. The brief period before a storm when the air has the heavy feel and scent of the coming rain. And if you listen carefully, you can just make out the distant rumble of far off thunder. There's an energy riding the air in these moments, an energy one cannot describe, only feel. Perhaps it's this energy that has finally driven me to pick up this pen. It's been nearly 3 weeks since Michael left me, bewildered and in the possession of 4 blank notebooks. In the time since, they've remained exactly as he left them, a constant reminder of his bizarre request. I'm not really sure why now. After so many days of avoiding it, I finally decided to begin doing that which he asked me to do. Maybe it's the energy of the coming storm being channeled through me somehow, or maybe it's simply that once the storm begins, I'll be shut inside the house. And since it's 3 o'clock on a Sunday, I also know there won't be anything on worth watching. But maybe it's more than that. I must admit, though I didn't touch Michael's gifts, the notion of his request has been churning in my mind since the second he left. At first, I wanted nothing to do with it. How could Michael bring this to me? I thought, this assignment from on high? Yet, despite my anger, in spite of it even, the idea grew, and soon it seemed the world revolved around nothing else. Everywhere I go, something or someone whispers to me, plunges into my thoughts to add another fragment to the story I've been asked to tell. These same whispers have also been telling me the reason why I should write what Michael asked, why it's so important. When I went to watch our local Little League team, the firebirds, play all throughout the game. Little hints and messages came floating to me. At the grocery store last Wednesday, as I watched the cashier named Louise swipe items across her scanner in a bored stupor, long forgotten events started aligning into sequences. Those moments when I look around and realize how uninformed the world is about the truth. When I want to shake mankind awake to what's happening with so few truly aware. Those moments have drawn me to this. But what am I about to write? The sheer magnitude of what Michael proposed is indescribable. The size of this undertaking has kept me from sleep, from food, from even glancing at these notebooks without a sense of distress, even fear, yet all tinged with a strange eagerness and curiosity. In the past weeks, I've spent entire nights staring with bloodshot eyes at the ceiling fan, my mind racing after the whirling blades, weaving together the strands of my life without my consent. Even now, in the very act of writing, I find myself skirting the duty, and yet I know I can't escape it. It seems the decision was never really mine to make. It was made even before Michael appeared in my living room, wings spread grandly behind him, an aura of white light surrounding his entire being in that spectacle of an entrance he so loves to perform. He knew I wouldn't be able to resist in the end, that eventually I would sit here to record all those details and emotions I've so longed to let slip from my memory forever. He knew because he knows me. He knows I've always wanted this chance to reach out to so many and allow them to know what was never revealed before. There's so much to tell. How can I possibly fit it all in? It seems impossible, and yet I must try. The mirror across the room reflects the image of a man in his early 30s with short blonde hair and bright blue eyes. But that mirror will not expose what I truly am, or was at least. To do what Michael has asked, I must ignore the mirror, turn a deaf ear to the thunder growing louder each minute, pretend I don't smell the lilac floating on the breeze. If I am allowed myself, if I am to allow myself to conjure my past, I must wholly forget my present, the pain of which will draw me mad if viewed in the same light. I must force myself to do this, because if I don't, then all the world will ever have from me will be a few pages of meaningless chatter, and there's so much more I need to tell. For the sake of all those who wish to know more, who already suspect more, I will close the window now and light this candle before me as my guide home. When the tale is through, for without it, I fear I must never wish to return. When the tale is through, for without it I fear I might never wish to return. I'm going to let myself escape into the past to give you my life's memoirs, long and painful as they might be. My name is Sabrael, or Sabrael, and I was once an angel of the Lord.